If you want to get into Melbourne High, Macrob, Nossal, or Suzanne Cory, then you'll have to excel on the exam, and writing is one of the sections on the exam that a lot of people often struggle with. When I generally ask students, which section are you least excited for? Writing is normally the number one section that comes up. And so what can you do to excel on the writing section of the exam? Now, what most students think is the key to success is vocabulary. They think if I learn all these complex words, if I throw them into my piece, that's going to impress the examiners and I'm going to get a high score. When the reality is the vocab doesn't really matter at all. There's so many other things that are so much more important. Yes, vocab might boost your score by 1 or 2 marks, but there's other things that make up half your score or 3/4 of your score. And if you don't do those things well, you can have vocab that's at a year 10, 11, or year 12 level. Doesn't matter at all. For example, one of those things is structure. If you're asked to write a persuasive piece, if you don't structure it correctly, if you don't have an introduction, if you don't have body paragraphs that are structured properly using Teal, if you don't have a rebuttal and a conclusion, then you're not going to get a very high score, because that's the basics of persuasive writing, being able to structure it correctly. Same thing with story writing. If you're asked to write a narrative story and you don't have a clear beginning, a middle, and an end, then it doesn't matter how complex the vocabulary is, you're not going to get even a decent score. You're going to get a very, very average score. Same thing with basic things like punctuation, spelling, and grammar. If there's a lot of grammar errors, if there's a lot of punctuation errors, if there's a lot of spelling errors, it doesn't matter if you have really complex vocabulary, you're not going to be getting more than about 5 out of 10. And so the key thing with writing is we want to focus on the things that have the largest impact on our scores. For most students, the first 2 things to focus on is make sure you know how to structure the piece that you're writing, because that's probably worth half your score on its own. If you don't structure it correctly, you're not really even writing a story. You're not really even writing a persuasive piece. It's just a blob of words on a page. But then also punctuation, spelling, and grammar. Yes, it's boring, but it has a huge impact on your score. So these are the 2 key things. Focus on these first. Vocab is just a cherry on top that can boost your score later on.